What's up, guys? This is Carson Thinks Ball, my second channel where I go off script and give my raw reactions to games I just watched. I just watched the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Miami Heat. Looks to be 121 to 100. Granted, there's 50 seconds left in this game, so that might change in the next 50 seconds. And if you can't tell by a lot of the jerseys behind me, I'm a Cavs fan. So that felt great to watch. Not for a lot of it, though. As the 1 seed, I just saw the Oklahoma City Thunder just completely blow out the Grizzlies. So I was kind of hoping for something similar to that, but deep down I knew it wasn't going to happen. But overall, a lot of good things in this game, both sides of the ball. Since I'm going to talk about the Cavs a lot in this game, I'm going to start with the Heat. First of all, Bam Adebayo, I think played a pretty good game. He missed a lot of threes. He was taking a lot of threes, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but he did make one of them, but he missed 4 of them. With Bam, his game was solid. He had a lot of mismatches. He required a lot of attention from the defense in a way. His defense was incredible. I think he played the game as well as he could have. Davion Mitchell is going to get paid this offseason. He has a qualifying offer. He'll be a restricted free agent. And I imagine a lot of teams are going to go out there and try to get him, especially after what he did in that overtime game. He's playing great basketball. He had 18 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists on 8 for 12 shooting, 2 for 3 from 3. 75% true shooting, basically. He played great defense. He was a big pest. He had some turnovers. He had some stuff go wrong. There was a couple plays where he just threw the ball out of bounds to nobody. You know, he played a great game, especially for who he is on the contract he is. I think Davion Mitchell's super underrated. But recently, he's been getting all the hype. He's been getting all the praise, so I'm super excited for him. Tyler Hero had a weird game. In the first half, incredible basketball. He was really good. Efficiency-wise, wasn't that good. In the first half, he was, 5 for 12, which is not exactly great efficiency, but I promise if you watch that game, you can see the impact Tyler Hero had. He was doing a lot of great things for the Heat. The thing is, once the second half started, he kind of disappeared in a way. He played the entire third quarter. He made 1 shot. In the first half, he took 12 shots. In the second half, he took 6 shots. I don't know if this was a product of Tyler Hero just not being as good, just not being confident in his abilities, or if it was the Cavs defense shutting him off. I think Sam Merrill did a great job denying Tyler Hero the ball in the second half. It was clear the Cavs were doing a lot to just not let him have opportunities to score, and it worked out pretty well. He was a non-factor in the second half of this basketball game. Andrew Wiggins, he hit some shots. Alec Burks, he hit some good threes. I feel like if you're the Heat, you maybe want to play Alec Burks a little bit more. He had a pretty good game. Duncan Robinson, I think, played pretty well. I think he did a great job. He required a lot of attention from the defense. He had a lot of gravity. There was points where, he'd get open on the perimeter. You have 2 or 3 Cavs players running towards him, just trying to deny him a 3-point shot. And he was able to utilize that to get into the paint, pass out, make a play from there. It was pretty impressive. Haywood Highsmith, he did his thing. Andrew Wiggins. But somebody who I think did really good, Khalil Ware. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's probably my favorite rookie in this class. He is a monster. And I think he had a pretty solid game from what I saw. He didn't really play as much as I would have hoped. He only played 20 minutes in this game. The first quarter, I thought he was impactful. Maybe I'm missing something, but I thought his defense was great in that first quarter. He had 2 blocks in the 8 minutes he played. I thought he didn't get into foul trouble or anything, but he only played like 4 minutes in the second quarter. He only played 1 minute in the fourth quarter. I guess his plus minus wasn't that good, but I thought Khalil Ware was a very good contributor. He brought Jared Allen out of the paint. I thought that was important because, there's a threat of him shooting a 3. His rim protection was great. I don't know. Maybe there's something I missed. Speaking of the difference between the first and the second half, the first half, and I guess honestly the first 3 quarters, the Miami Heat felt like they were in this game. The Cavs went on a run super duper early in this game, got up like 10 maybe, and then the rest of the game, they go on runs. The Cavs would go on runs. But it felt like they just couldn't shake the Heat. No matter what they did, the Heat would always kind of stick around. And I guess that's kind of, Heat culture in a way, not to give up or anything. And it kind of worked out because the whole game I was kind of in fear, like, oh, they're going to make a run. Tyler Hero is going to really heat up. He's going to make some shots. But it didn't happen until the fourth quarter when the Cavs decided to go supernova and outscore the Heat by 34-21. This was on the back of Jerome, who had an incredible game by like every facet. Obviously his defense was a little iffy with Jerome, but Jerome is a solid defender. He's smart. He's just a little slow on his feet, but offensively he was just incredible. By the end of that game, they were blitzing him. They were throwing 2 to 3 guys on him, like outside, like 40 feet out of the, 40 feet behind the arc, just of the threat of him shooting, because the last shot he took was like deep. It was like a 30-footer pull up. It was just a great shot. The crowd goes crazy. That was kind of the dagger to this game. It kind of hit the nail in the coffin. but Ty Jerome was just nuts. I remember earlier in the season, Kenny Atkinson said, Cavs coach, he was like, it's just impossible to take Ty Jerome off the floor, which is really, when you think about it, kind of nuts because you have two all-star guards, at your 1 and 2, and it's difficult to take the 6th man off the floor. But, I don't blame him. In 26 minutes, he had 28 points. He had an 81% true shooting percentage. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists. His assists were the defense was so focused on him scoring now that he could just pass out to an open man. It was easy. Because with Ty Jerome, his 3-point shot is so impressive. He was 5 for 8 tonight. But the problem is he's even better at floaters, and he's better at when he drives in the paint. I made a video about this on my main channel where I actually edit and make real content. You should probably check that video out. Where there's a statistic where Ty Jerome is one of the, top 20 players in the league in shot quality. And I don't mean like best shot quality, I mean worst. Like he is taking the hardest shots in the league. And out of every single one of those players, he's the only guy shooting some odd true shooting percentage, whatever Ty Jerome is. He's like 50, 40, 90 club. I don't think he's at 90 free throw percentage, but he is definitely above 50% field goal, and he's definitely above 40%. I think his corner 3-point shooting was like over 50% or something. Ty Jerome is just an incredible player, and it sucks that he's stuck behind 2 all-stars, because if you put Ty Jerome on another team, in this video that I made, I kind of looked like an idiot. I think Ty Jerome could be an all-star. Maybe that's just the homer in me and I'm being biased, but the shots that he's taking and making, his floater, it's always, there's guys right in front of him, their bodies up, and then he kind of just goes right around him. And every time he takes these shots, I'm thinking, oh, fuck, why would you take that? That's such a bad shot. Because every basketball game I've ever watched tells me that's a terrible shot. But he makes it every single time. And then his threes, he gets like 1 heat check a game. I feel like Kenny Atkinson just allows that. And I think it's awesome because half the time he makes it and then it's incredible. But I don't want to spend this whole time talking about Ty Jerome, who pretty much carried in the 4th quarter. He had 16 points in that 4th quarter. The other guy who was also incredible was Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell was incredible on both ends of the floor. Coming out of college, Donovan Mitchell wasn't supposed to be like offensive, can go supernova, can carry your team. He as a prospect, he was a defensive guy. He was supposed to be a perimeter defender, and he really brought that energy tonight. He was diving on the floor. He was getting real up on people. He'd hit the ball out of their hands back onto their legs and make it go out of bounds on them. He had 4 steals tonight. He was just incredible. And then the only gripe I had with Donovan Mitchell tonight was his 3-pointer wasn't really falling, but he made up for that with his attacking the rim and his aggressiveness and his playmaking. He did a great job, delivering the ball where it needed to be. He only had 2 turnovers. His ball security was pretty solid. He was making all of his he had a bunch of tough layups tonight where like the announcers kept talking about, I don't want to call it Michael Jordan, but that kind of looked like Michael Jordan. And it really did because, he goes up, there's 2 guys on him, he double clutches, he brings it around. And it was insane to watch because just like the Ty Jerome thing, everything that I've seen in a basketball game tells me that's a bad shot, but it goes in. With Darius Garland, he played super well, I thought. Not as good as the other 2, but I think he played very well. 5 assists, 27 points, 5 for 9 from 3. He was making a lot of shots. He had a really nice, dagger at the very end. I think Darius Garland on the average Cavs night would have been the best Cav, but there's 2 guys who just played incredibly. His playmaking was really good. His ball security is pretty solid. His passes to Jared Allen were great. Jared Allen also had a pretty nice game. Jared Allen had 6 offensive rebounds tonight and his 5 defensive rebounds. The Cavs on the offensive glass were really good tonight. Let me look at the numbers real quick. The Cavs had 14 offensive rebounds. The Heat had 11. So it's only a 3 offensive rebound discrepancy, but it felt like a lot more. I don't know. I think it was just, there'd be like 1 or 2 possessions where over and over again, it was an offensive rebound. It kind of felt like the Nuggets and Clippers game at the very end when Aaron Gordon or Russell Westbrook kept getting the same rebound over and over again because the Heat just couldn't do something about it almost every single time. And the Heat went on their own runs. I don't want to make it sound like this was a total blowout. It was only not a close game at the very end. For 3 quarters, it was a game for sure. Because Bam Adebayo, he was trying real hard. Sam Merrill, he hit some shots. He played his role well. Evan Mobley, I'm a big Evan Mobley guy. You can see the jersey right there, Evan Mobley. Also, Ame Haka's jersey. He gets no run now. But Evan Mobley, he didn't have the game I was hoping for. 9 points, 7 rebounds, 4 for 10 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3. So he hit a 3. I mean, everybody in the Mobley fan club is hyped that he has a 3 now. I'm pretty hyped that he has a 3. But overall, he didn't do a lot this game. He played pretty aggressively. He was getting in there and he was trying to make stuff happen. I just don't think his shots were falling. We've seen a lot of playmaking out of Evan Mobley this year, which I thought was very impressive. But it looks like in this postseason, Kenny Atkinson doesn't really want to try stuff anymore or risk anything because the ball was in Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Max Strus, and Ty Jerome's hands for most of it. So I don't think Evan Mobley had as many opportunities to really make plays. You know, the him and Jared Allen connection wasn't really here this game. Isaac Okoro, I thought he played great defense. That's kind of what he does. He's not a scorer. He missed like 4 threes. Actually, yeah, he did miss 4 threes. He missed all of his shots because he only took those 4 threes. Isaac Okoro was weird to me because he started the season like 40% from 3. Then he like did something to his shoulder, and then he missed like 16 threes in a row. But Isaac Okoro should be on the floor for defense, and he did it well. He did fine. Max Strus, he hit like the first shot of the game. He just hit this. He hit threes. He hit 3 threes. He did his job. You know, Max Strus is just one of those guys. DeAndre Hunter, this was not the night you wanted from him. He was the only person on the Cavs roster to have a negative plus-minus. He played 16 minutes. He scored 0 points. He was 0 for 4. And I imagine if you played him more than 60 minutes, he starts scoring. But I think Kenny Atkinson is taking the approach where it's, if you're not making an immediate impact, just get off the floor. I'm not going to play you off pedigree. You know, Ty Jerome got a lot of extra run. You know, in the end, he was playing over Max Strus when it was in clutch time. And even though Max Strus is supposed to be the starter, I think Kenny likes the approach where it's, you're playing well, I'm going to keep you on the floor. Dean Wade, he didn't really get any run in this game, which sucks because I think Dean Wade is awesome. I really love him as a player, but it makes sense. You know, he's a defender, he's a rebounder. He can't do much else outside of that. Overall, I thought it was a great game. The Cavs played some really hard defense. The refs had some questionable calls, I think, on both sides of the ball. And I don't want to be a ref guy, so I'm not going to make it a thing. But I think for the Heat and the Cavs, there were some calls you might want to dispute. The Heat, a lot of turnovers. That was a problem, especially in that first quarter. Even though the first quarter is where they kind of kept it together, they were just turning the ball over kind of a lot. And I want to chalk that up to Cavs defense, but there was a lot of possessions where the Heat would kind of just throw the ball out of bounds. So I don't want to pin that on the Cavs defense. That was just the Heat mismanaging the ball. All in all, both teams shot the exact same percentage from 3, 41.9, but the Cavs made 5 more of them. Also, the Cavs shot 51% from the field, the Heat 48. So it was, you know, scoring wise, it looked pretty close, but the Cavs were able to take 8 more shots in this game, and those shots were also threes more often than not. And the Cavs shot a couple more free throws. It wasn't really some team could outscore the other team. It was more of a possession game where the Cavs just got more possessions. You know, again, the Miami Heat had 14 turnovers. The Cavs only had 7, so they had double the turnovers. It was just kind of the Cavs had more opportunities. I think their defense was better. That's not to say the Heat didn't have any good defenders, because Bam Adebayo played great defense. Davion Mitchell played great defense. Kelly Oubre played great defense. Coming into the next game, you need more ways to get Tyler Hero going, especially in the second half, because it seemed like after halftime, the Cavs schemed really well to stop him from getting the ball and stop him from scoring. So I think you'd like to work around that a little more. I think Bam played well. I think Bam played a good game. I don't think you can complain too much. Maybe make more threes, or if you're going to miss them, don't take the threes. Davion Mitchell, some silly turnovers, but I mean, you know, he played as well as you're going to get from a guy who's averaged 8 points on the season. You know, he had 18 points tonight. Andrew Wiggins, everybody knows Andrew Wiggins is a talented basketball player. He just doesn't go after it, but he played, I'm pretty sure, okay, he played the second most minutes out of any Heat tonight. I don't want to say invisible because that's not a good, I don't know, that I feel like that makes me sound like an idiot. But it felt like at some point in this game, Andrew Wiggins was kind of invisible. Like you couldn't tell he was out there. So I'd like to see that change. Kyle Anderson played 6 minutes tonight, which, you know, maybe I'm an idiot, but I thought he'd play a little more. In the last 2 games, he played 12 and 23 minutes, then 28. Yeah, I thought Kyle Anderson would play more. I thought he'd be a bigger problem, but I think the Cavs pace kind of paced him out of the game. I don't think he would have made a good impact. Overall, I think great game. You know, as a Cavs fan, I'm happy. As a Jaime Jaquez fan, I'm a little sad he didn't get any run, but you know, it is what it is. If you like these type of videos, I hope you consider subscribing and liking the video. That would help a lot for the algorithm. And I hope you consider going to my main channel where I talk about Ty Jerome and other Cavs a lot more, as well as a lot of other players. Comment below what you thought about the game, you know, what you think should change in the next game or 2 or 3. And with that, I hope you have a great day. Peace.